sight. You're not the only one cursed with knowledge. Chillin with Villains podcast.
Harmony?
You gotta change it up a little bit, feel me?
Damn, bro.
Shit.
You're
Feel me?
Welcome back, everyone, to episode 48. Yes, it's 48.
Closer and closer to 50.
Yep. Episode 48, and it is the Brown Steve Jobs, Mr. Steve Austin, aka your host Norman Rad, aka Ozzy Mandy, is here, joined by the Gustoso from the Lost Borough, also known as Clown Prince, and all the way from Irvington, New Jersey.
Oh, I thought you said Burp, New Jersey. All the way from Burpington, New Jersey.
The CEO of TD Bank and president of stats for the Boston Celtics, senior DC correspondent, and esteemed flagship leader of the Celtics, I guess, clan or whatever y'all want to call it yourselves.
Celtics clan.
fan base?
Zoom.
He said clan. Like, what the fuck?
I don't know how to call your fan base, but you're chilling with villains though. So what's good, y'all?
Guys, he finally did it. Zack Snyder finally did it.
What he did?
What do you do?
He released another picture for Army of the Dead.
I thought you were going to start with... Yeah, I heard thinking...
Bro, y'all will know the day the Snyder Cut gets released because I will not shut the fuck up the day it does.
Yeah, we're literally just gonna hit record and just let him talk the entire time.
That's exactly what
he's like, he's gonna be going to himself. So Zoom, what do you think? Well, I'm Zoom, and I think this. That's literally just gonna be you and wearing all the hats.
You skip ahead like 4 hours into it, like, and yeah, like so, like,
dude, like, it's coming, man. I don't know when. Oh, so I don't know, Ariel, I don't think you saw it. Mark definitely saw it. So I made an announcement on Instagram in the chat that if it doesn't get announced this year, I will get a tattoo on my butt cheek that says #release the Snyder Cut. That's how confident.
Are you actually serious though? Like,
nah, I swear, I put it.
Even if
so, January 1st, they announce it. 2021.
Yeah, nah, I'm swinging, bro.
You gonna have to swing. You're gonna have to swing after that tattoo heals.
Facts.
Nah,
that's crazy.
Even if you
I'm
are
not gonna hold you
serious,
to that. I'm not gonna ruin your fucking life.
I'm not gonna expect you to hold up that.
So just letting you know.
Why not? You could
because it's not that serious, dude.
Yeah,
right,
don't get a tattoo on your ass.
A tattoo, it don't even got to be that big. I'll just tell my cousin who's a tattoo artist.
I'm thinking like a microscopic.
Yeah, I'll be like, yo, do it mad tiny. Like, I don't give a fuck.
Yo, like size 0.5 font.
Yo, I was just gonna say.
Nah, bro. But if
what's the thinnest needle you have?
It's as thin as $1.
Yeah, but it's like. They just have to, man. There's just no way they're not gonna do it this year. And this year just fucking started. It's been a terrible year, but I believe in it.
This shit, it's crazy. It's only been like 2 months.
I feel like
it should be May right now.
Yeah. Like these past couple of years have been like that, where like 4 or 5 weeks in, 6 weeks in, and it just feels like. Not that it's dragging. It's just like so much has happened. It's just like, yo,
no,
am
it's
I
dragging.
30 already? Like,
nah, dude, January felt like it was 3 months long.
Yeah, nah, it did. But to be honest with y'all, I don't mind it because life is too short. So let's just appreciate that. Oh, can I finish? Can I finish my statement? You see what I mean? Life is too short. I couldn't even finish my
Yo,
temptation.
yo, that's a Marvel fan for you, bro.
Oh,
He's
That's how they
gaslighting.
work, bro.
that's how they work.
That's
That's
how they work.
operate.
Ain't nothing new.
Now, speaking of which, what I want to touch on real quick, I don't know if y'all saw. Obviously, y'all definitely saw. Today is 2/24. The 2 for Gigi, the 24 for Kobe Bryant. Their memorial was held today at the Staples Center. I could not get myself to watch it like at all. I just kind of saw some of the quotes from people that were up there, like Michael Jordan, obviously, Vanessa Bryant, who got up there, which, kudos to her. I can't even imagine what she was going through that very moment, what she's still going through right now. So that was very brave of her. But yeah, man, I hope this gives closure to everyone on the whole thing. I kind of just want to start moving on because every time I see it, I'm just like, damn, it just can't be true still. It really just can't.
It's still
But-
very weird to me. I avoided it too, cause I guess I'm still sort of in denial about it. But I do have the entire event like in my watch list on YouTube. ESPN uploaded it earlier, so I'll probably check it out tomorrow or something. Like, I guess that would be closure for
Right.
like, for better or worse, I guess. But yeah, man, I'm
Yeah,
forever.
exactly. I'm gonna just throw that out there, but now we could get to the nitty gritty. There hasn't really been much news, guys. It's been a real slow
Yeah,
news kind of time period, but that usually means a bunch of shit is gonna start piling up soon.
yeah.
That's what always happens. There'll be weeks where we're just sitting there like nothing, and then one day it's like boom, here you go, news for days. I think the only real thing we can discuss, even though we briefly touched on Batflick our last podcast, he went out again on another interview the day after we dropped, or the day of when we dropped.
The nerve.
And the nerve, right? You couldn't drop it while we were talking
The
about it.
audacity.
But yeah, man, the interviewer said, I loved you as Batman, so I kind of want to touch on that a little bit. And he kind of just spoke out saying that, he wrote the script, but he just didn't have that sense of pride in the character anymore. He wasn't really feeling it. And it's kind of how we touched on when we were talking about, yeah, like if you don't love what you're doing, like why are you doing it?
Exactly.
And so obviously we already said it a million times, like, good for Ben. He does look a lot healthier, does look better. And this movie should be really good, not only for his career, but in general, the movie does look really
Yeah, I want to check it out.
fun to watch. But he wishes Pattinson all the best of luck, which was dope to see too. From
Imagine he was like, yo, fuck that motherfucker.
word.
Yo,
he was
imagine
like,
he was like, "Psh,
Fuck that shit, bro.
my jersey retired,
He's
but I
a
still got
cornball.
hands.
imagine like, yo, that Twilight dude. You think he gonna up me? Fuck out of here.
Nah.
Fuck
Fuck
outta here.
out of here with that shit. Nah,
Ben is from
boy.
Ben is from New York now.
Yeah.
Boston from New York.
Like, yo, fuck is you talking about? Pattinson his ass. But nah, dude, yeah. So he just went on saying basically what he talked about the day before, a couple days before, where it just wasn't a right fit anymore. And obviously we know, besides his personal problems, all the deal we discussed with Warner Brothers that was going on. But yeah, so, and you know what I hate to see on Twitter, people are like, yeah, that's my Batman, bring Ben back. And it's just like, yo, did y'all not hear the interview? This man
Bring
literally
Ben back.
almost went back into depression because of this. And you want to bring his ass back? Like, y'all are really toxic. No,
That's how
this
people feel
man-
about Future. Like, I don't care if you're a drug addict, keep making this heat.
like, right, like I get it, yo, don't get me wrong, would I love to see him back? Yeah, but I'm not gonna be like, bring Ben back if that's gonna kill him. Like, nah, I'm good. Like,
Those are dope.
keep your life, man.
What?
What
Are you guys serious?
do you mean?
He should come back and die.
And then it'll be like, he died doing what he loved.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's like, oh man, what a legend. It's like, how about him just fucking doing what's best for him, and you guys not.
What a legend.
What a legend. What a martyr he was.
The martyr.
literally.
Like, get the fuck out of here, bro.
Yeah, people are just
Um,
fucking stupid.
Yeah, facts. But other than that, nothing really is dropped. Oh, actually, what we want to do for you guys is, we wrote in our story post, if you guys want us to talk more about comic books just in general, like big comic storylines that go on in actual comic books. And a lot of people, surprisingly to my surprise, voted yes that they do. And I
Oh,
was like, dope.
lips.
Yeah. So we should start getting on that, for big events coming up. Maybe we could
Yeah,
all
we can break down like their like actually like seriously break down their like adaptations that are done on film or TV.
yeah.
That's lit. Well, I'm glad they're
but
not shy anymore. That's good.
I know, right? But nah, definitely we can do that. What I wanted to say on that though is that there's a rumor going on that AT&T might drop DC Comics if this new like 5 generation doesn't work out. But yeah, so this whole 5G initiative that they took, right? Like apparently it's gonna be not a reboot of any kind, but Batman, like Bruce Wayne won't be Batman anymore. He'll kind of be older, and like they'll have Lucas Fox take the mantle, like things like that. Jonathan Kent, Superman's son take over the role, like things like that. And AT&T was saying if it doesn't work out, they're just gonna drop DC Comics. And I'm just like, but
So
that doesn't, it's just a rumor. But then the other rumor was that Marvel will buy DC. And I'm like, this just doesn't feel like,
That's probably the most disgusting thing I've ever heard in my life.
well, I think
That would be the dumbest thing of all time.
well, maybe. All right. Here's the thing.
Don't. Oh no. Oh no. Oh god.
let's hear it, Ariel. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
All right. I don't think that it's as bad as it sounds because that just means that financially, Warner or AT&T, whatever, will not be financing that department. So if anything,
Okay.
Marvel's just buying. I think Marvel would just be buying. I don't think Marvel would be like, all right, crossover time. I don't think that'll
Yeah.
be the case.
And then Batman will be like dance offs for against his villains and all that stuff. and-
All right. This is we're talking
I'm
about
just
comics.
saying.
We're talking about comics. Like there's nothing to do with the movies.
Well, in a
but
way,
it eventually
kinda
will.
does,
It
yeah.
eventually
Oh,
will.
if Warner Brothers is still an entity and is still very involved in making films and they're still producing films, I don't think
So
this is the
that-
comic
that's
book
why-
side of things.
Well, that's why I'm kind of like, so if they buy out the comics, wouldn't that essentially mean they get the whole, like, wouldn't
No.
they get the rights to the characters?
No, because the rights to the characters have been sold to Warner Brothers.
Okay. All right, I see. But yeah, Dan Didio, right, who was
He got fired, I thought.
well, he stepped down apparently.
I heard
Um,
rumors of firing.
He's a
According to articles.
publisher. Zoom and I actually saw him and Jim Lee at New York Comic Con.
Yeah, we spoke to them for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, we spoke to him for 2 seconds. That's right. But well,
Flags.
yeah, quick flex, but real quick.
Literally a
stepped
quick
down now,
flex.
yeah.
Because it's 2 seconds.
It's like, all right, we don't care about you no more. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't see why this whole 5G thing won't be successful. I mean, I could see why actually, because people just love to bitch about everything nowadays. So what? Bruce Wayne isn't Batman anymore, and you have this black kid as Batman? Wow, this fucking sucks because I'm not racist.
Because I'm not racist. I have black friends.
Like, dude, I once dated a black girl. Like, what do you mean? But I don't know, man. We'll see. Either way, I've been reading more comics again. I've been trying to get into that flow of things. So that's gonna lead us to our main topic of the day, which is I want to hear from you two, and I also want to hear from our followers. Just this whole notion of reading something, right? So obviously we know all these comic book movies are a screen adaptation of obviously comic books
Yeah.
that relate to the characters.
Well, not all
or-
of them, but yes,
right, majority.
majority. Yeah.
What would you say, like 95%?
Yeah.
Right.
Not really.
No.
I mean, like, if you think about it, I mean, like, are we counting a movie like Iron Man 3? Did that ever happen in the comics?
Still an
That-
adaptation.
that's
The extremist
right.
storyline is still.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I want to get at. So, a few things I think that really we could touch base on here. One more recently, obviously the Birds of Prey Harley Quinn movie. Another one, Batman versus Superman, and another one I
Right.
had in mind was Captain America: Civil War.
And Watchmen.
Um,
You could also add Watchmen in there.
Yes,
Yeah,
you can
TV
say
show.
that.
TV
Right.
show.
TV
and
show or movie? Oh, a movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, exactly. So my thing is this, because my girlfriend and her dad, they so this is a funny story actually. They they told Mark and I to not watch. So Ariel, you know about that new HBO show, the primetime HBO show, The Outsider?
Oh,
Um,
I'm all over that, my guy.
You've been watching it?
Hell yeah.
Fire,
Don't
right?
say anything.
No, yeah, no
Amazing.
spoilers, no spoilers.
But do you like it?
Amazing. Hell yeah.
You like it?
Anything Stephen King pulls out, like there's only one
Cool.
thing I didn't like. That,
Cool.
that-
Did you read the book?
of the Outsider?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, cool. So, all right. So, my girlfriend and her dad were like, "Yo," they told Mark and I, "Yo, don't watch it. Let's all just wait to binge watch it. Let's all read the book first." Great. Granted, Mark and I are taking a very long time to read this book. They already finished, but they did us grimy. They did us fucking grimy because they're like, yeah, we're just gonna start this shit. I'm like, yo,
How many weeks is it till the finale?
two more episodes.
Yeah,
I
two
think.
more episodes. Yeah.
Oh hell no.
So yeah, I'm definitely not gonna finish regardless. But either way, they could have waited. Nonetheless, shots fired at my girlfriend and her pop.
Yeah, what a great way to
Yo,
transition into our podcast.
Next Sunday dinner is not gonna be too
Yeah.
too fun for me.
Better
But-
get cooked.
Yo, I don't agree with anything he just said, Kayla. I don't want no smoke.
I don't want no smoke. Speaking of which, hold on before we get sidetracked. R.I.P. Pop Smoke. Yeah, dude, like what the fuck is going on? This fucking year sucks. Pop Smoke was a rapper, for those that don't know. He was
From
only 20
Brooklyn.
years old. Yeah, killed in a home invasion in his own home. So it's just like you're not even safe in your own crib anymore.
In the Hollywood
So-
Hills too. So that, like, come on, fam. Like, there.
R.I.P. to him.
That's fucking crazy.
May God bless him and his family. All those mourning his death. I just wanted to, you said Smoke, so kind of rang.
Yeah, I
around
get it.
that. Okay, so back to it, right? So we started watching it, and so mind you, I'm only like 100 something pages in. So, some shit happened in like the first episode of the second episode, and I was like, oh shit. And like they were both like I was watching with them, and both of them just did not have a reaction. And I was like, oh, let me guess, this happens in the book. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, you see, that fucking sucks. I'm like, the fact that you could watch this and not have a reaction to what just happened is just like, what? So that's why I want to break this down into this. So obviously, like novels and comic books are completely different because again, we're using The Outsider as an example. So for the most part, the adaptation is going to be a lot like the book, but they're going to have to change some things in order to make the story, like an on-screen story, more appealing, and to have it last for an hour-long episode every Sunday for 10 Sundays, because obviously the book is not that long. So mind you, the book is pretty long. It's like 500 something pages, almost close to 600. But so they're obviously gonna have to change some things around. But you see, so little things happen, and then like they're talking to each other, like, oh, remember when this happened in the book, like things like that. I'm just like, oh, I'm I'm like, and then like I'll have something that's going on and I won't know what's happening, and I'm like, oh shit, like what the fuck's gonna happen? And they both have like this smirk on their face, like like, and I'm like, that this fucking sucks. Like you guys already know what's gonna happen, so it's just like, what's the point? What is the point? So that's why I kind of came up with this idea. Like we can talk about this. So especially I think a lot of Stephen King shit gets adapted into screenplay, like The Shining.
No, he makes sure of it.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
get that bread.
facts. The Shining, the sequel to The Shining, what was that shit called?
Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep, yeah.
Dr.
That shit was actually
Sleep.
pretty good.
Really?
Ewan McGregor. I started watching it. Yeah, so far it was so good.
I'm gonna check it
Yeah,
out.
I was actually impressed. I was like, damn, this shit's actually type of hype.
And now this. So a lot of Stephen King content like out there. But so I feel like, yeah, there will be times where they'll be like, wait, but this wasn't in the book. Like what? Why are they changing this up? This
And
wasn't in
every
the book.
time did they not like it?
You kind of get that sense where they're kind of just confused and they're like, I don't know how to feel about this. And it's just like, well, I didn't read the book and I feel great about this because this is all new to me. So yeah, what do you guys, so then we transition into now comic books. Obviously it's a lot different. You're obviously not going to be able to
Not really. I mean,
why do you say it? So I want to take for example
for that, like not being this, I think it's actually pretty similar in the sense that like we're all like what you're first taught is what you think is correct.
Mhm.
So
Ooh, bars.
thank you. That's why like just as an example, just because obviously it has nothing to do with this actual topic, but an example is like if you grow up and you watch your parents and how they interact, you're going to think that's how a relationship should be. Whether or not that's actually how it actually should be,
Right.
is not the point.
Okay.
It's how you think it is because of what you've been taught, what you've seen firsthand. So
Getting into
them reading,
psyche. Getting
yeah,
into
exactly.
The psyche,
It's that Mindhunter shit. So if you like read a book or even if like if you read a book like The Outsider or any book, even comic book, whatever, you're gonna think, okay, it has to be or it should be like this. I like this because it was like this. And then when you see a movie adaptation or a TV show adaptation, and they change something,
you want it to
first
be
of all,
that certain way.
the people
read it.
Yeah, first of all, the show creators do that because they don't want it to be the same fucking thing. They don't want it to be a shot for shot remake because that takes away the creativity of them.
Right.
B, it's like, what's the fuck is the point if you're watching watching it and you read the book, do you really just want to see what you already know is coming again? And it's like, what is the
that's
point?
why I feel like it's a lose-lose.
Yeah, it's
Because
exactly.
something
You get to
new.
see yeah, like I'm sure the book was great, but like let them live and do their own thing. As long as they're not like butchering it, as long as you know what I mean, like as long as it's good TV, what's the problem?
Right. Like when we broke down our when we were breaking down Watchmen and we started talking about the movie a little bit, and Ariel pointed out that Zack Snyder's adaptation was very close to like perfect. He just had to change a couple things because on screen it just wouldn't look as believable. Like a giant squid in New York City. So why not have an atomic bomb? Like that's more centered around realism and realistically in our world. But no, Mark, you make very valid points. But I feel like in terms of, let's say, comic book movies, right? So I remember in it was Captain America Civil War. They have that specific comic, and they pretty much use, they had the rivalry and that between Captain America and Iron Man. They did the same thing on the big screen, but they changed. Pretty much the story was a lot different, but because it had to be because of the continuity, obviously, and they're not just gonna change shit up just for this one movie, but what there was some things from the comics that I saw myself where I was like, I kind of wish that happened, like Cap dying, and well, spoilers for nobody, for
Damn
people
it.
for anyone that's gonna read the Captain America Civil War comic. Spoilers.
Shit.
Cap
Yo,
dies.
my bad, my bad.
But that doesn't happen, and I was like, when I was watching it, I was kind of rooting for that to happen. I was, oh, that'll be kind of dope to see, because it would be kind of like the comics, but they didn't go that route because they obviously had other plans for him with Infinity War and Endgame. But
Right.
I feel like not a lot of people were as bothered by that,
Well, that's
like a lot
because a lot less people that like Marvel is for. I mean, even DC too. Like, I mean, you just don't need to read the comics. Like, a lot of people just don't read the comics. Like, let's
Right.
just be honest.
Mhm.
You
Uh-huh.
know what I mean?
But
Like,
I feel like even people that do, they weren't so upset about it, because I feel like that's why I say there's a difference between the novels and the comic books, because there's so many different iterations of these characters in the comic books and so many different
yeah,
stories.
that's true. So they're more accustomed to. Probably more accustomed to change,
Right.
or
So
they're more likely to deal with it well than
Right.
for their average like TV show or average
Exactly.
movie.
Yeah,
That's a good
but
point.
that's kind
because
of
Stephen King wrote. I'm sorry to cut you off,
Yeah, it's
Ariel,
cool,
but
it's cool.
Stephen King wrote The Outsider, and it's just that one book.
Right.
With,
You don't
with
see like a
comic
billion
book
different
characters.
versions.
Exactly. So that's why, to me, but that's gonna bring us to another point that I want to tie into this is, so I feel like comic book readers, although they don't want the story to be the exact same, they would want to still have the same like theme, and also have the characters be the same as they read them. So for example, one is definitely, I would say, Batman, like Ben Affleck's Batman, killing. I think that's still today the most where people complain about, where it's like Batman doesn't kill, Batman doesn't kill, Batman doesn't kill.
Yeah, I get over it.
Right. But that's that's the point I'm trying to get at. It's like, because for the majority of his comic book runs, it's, he has that moral code of I don't kill. I
Yeah.
feel people hang on to that, cling on to that a lot. So when they see that on the big screen, it's like, that's not Batman. Or even we can
And
even talk
also,
about Henry's Superman, where it's like, that's not Superman because he's not hopeful the way he is in the comics.
and that's also due to past iterations of those two characters being portrayed on film and TV.
Yeah.
Right.
So you'll see they're like, so even the people that haven't read the comics, and obviously, yeah, they know Batman, they know Superman, they're the fucking biggest superheroes ever.
Mhm.
But like, it just makes it even less like okay, I guess, in their eyes, because they have all these iterations and nobody's even mentioned killing. They all have this hard line. They're not going to kill, yada, yada, yada. And then in Batman's or in Superman's first movie, you have him snapping Zod's neck. Like Henry Cavill, he snaps Zod's neck under a lot of duress. He didn't want to do it, obviously.
Exactly, yeah.
And then Batman vs Superman, you see Batman just straight murking everybody. Like,
Catching bodies.
so yeah, literally. So like,
But
yeah. So
here's the thing with that. It's, I think a lot of people. So I could picture this: people in the movie theater watching Man of Steel and like, oh, I'm loving this. This is a great story, great flow. And the second they saw him snapping Zod's neck, they're like, what the fuck? They're like, that's not Superman. They're like, how on earth could Zack Snyder do this to our Superman? That little giggle. But it's just like, if you're watching that story, like, you have to kind of, I feel, for me, especially, I'm not an avid, I'm not a crazy comic book reader. I read it, but if I'm gonna see it on the big screen, I'm taking this as a solo thing. Like, this is gonna be their take on this character. And I actually, why I came up with this idea too is I was actually listening to the Variant podcast. Shout out to them. Hope to get them on the show one day. But they were talking about this, and they were talking about how, they think that, especially Warner Brothers right now, is they're taking these characters and they're not sticking true to what these comic book writers have already made these characters out to be, and they're just trying to have their own spin on them. And although I love them, I agree with some of their points. This was one that I didn't agree with. I'm like, I think that's a great thing. Like, why do we have to
Who
ruin
said this?
characters? They're called Variant. You probably saw some of
Yeah,
the
they're on
YouTube
YouTube.
videos. Yeah, they're on YouTube. They
They're,
have
they're a
their own
studio
podcast.
that just does they're like a media outlet for comic book stuff.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Like how we're gonna be one day. You feel me?
No, like how we are.
Facts.
Fuck out of here.
Oh,
Facts.
my bad. I just wish our bank accounts, saw the same thing we did, but
We're mad
But,
toxic.
but no, yeah. So they were discussing how like, and why I mentioned Birds of Prey is because they had brought it up where, for the most part, yeah, they kept Harley, comic accurate, but then someone like Cassandra Cain. And that's why I brought it up in the chat to you guys too. Like, yeah, although I do want to see Cassandra Cain be a badass because, well, she is one of the most badass, characters in the comic books. Her fucking mother is Lady Shiva, who is the baddest motherfucker in DC Comics. And, she was just a scared, like, little thief in the movie. So their point was kind of, why make that Cassandra Cain? Why not just make her an entirely different character? They're just saying they have no, respect or no like need to use this character again. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they were kind of suggesting, that the people that not the director per se, but that Warner Brothers just doesn't, they're not really
In tune with everything.
in tune with how people write Cassandra Cain in the comics, which I can see that point, but at the same time, it's like, especially with Black Canary. Yeah, she didn't use her canary cry a lot, but there was a reasoning in the film why she didn't. But that's not to say that in future films she's not going to use it or be who she is. And it's what we go back to talking to a lot about the Snyder cut and his vision. Like, Superman was going to get to the point where he is in the comics. Batman was going to get to that point of being Batman again and going back to his morals. And it's just, I feel, people just nowadays, especially the comic book community, just don't have patience for those things. They just want to see it all in that one movie. Like, oh, this character's supposed to be this certain way, just have them that way in this movie and we'll be all good. But I feel like people that create this stuff, they should have that creative freedom to explore these characters.
I was thinking about this the other day. Not like this per se, but like just Marvel, in the sense where it's they have character development, but their character development is like, or let me not phrase it so it sounds like I'm attacking Marvel. I think that people like the Marvel movies because their character development is like, oh yeah, here's our line in the sand. Like, we're not, like, even though they do kill people, but that's somehow okay. But let's say they didn't have that, right? Like, oh, I'm not going to kill anyone. Like Spider-Man actually is a perfect example. Like, you see Spider-Man, but he's dealing with other problems in his own life. Like him wanting to impress everybody and whatever, just act older than he is. But he still obviously has that line in the sand that he doesn't cross, and everyone's like, okay, good, thank God. But then, you see Batman and Superman who are struggling with, Superman struggling to find out who he really is, and who he should be and who he wants to be, on Earth. And Batman is like, like just so hurt and like kind of, just so lonely and kind of just shutting himself off to everybody that he just doesn't give a fuck. So like, it would have been fantastic to see that character development actually flesh out to the point where you see Superman like, you know what, like, I'm good now. Like, I have it all figured out. I know who I am. And then you see Batman also being like, I know who I am now. I had it right in the beginning. I should have just kept going like that. Obviously, I have to atone for all these sins, all these like terrible, or not sins, but just terrible acts that I've done. So like, I think it's like a lot more hard for people to kind of get behind that when they're like, oh my God, they're already so far out, so it's harder for them to accept like them coming in, I feel like.
No, I agree with that. Ariel, what's your take on all this? You've been standing idly
uncharacteristically quiet.
He's like, I'm about to drop some.
No, it's just you guys are hitting all the points. Like, I mean, I guess I see it differently because of how the industry is really. Like, for example, like not even on a comic book tip,
Mhm.
like the Harry Potter series. These books are extremely dense and detailed.
Right.
Every film left some aspect of each book out. Even the last book had to be split into two movies for God's sake. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
And
it's
they still left it out.
exactly, and they still left stuff out. So it 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 didn't take away from my experience at all.
Mhm.
Considering I read some of the books and stuff, and I know some of the character development from the books and all that, and I did just fine enjoying these films. But again, it goes these iterations and interpretations really vary to where you are in life, and like there's so many factors that play in because basically I grew up with Harry, Ron, and Hermione. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're all this, like, literally I'm the same age as those actors. So like I literally felt that character development as I'm getting older. I'm like, oh wow, like I literally see these characters growing and stuff in the films, and it's cool to see that in real time.
Mhm.
But it's different when it comes to like other things like uh like for example Stephen King stuff like that I'm not really cursed with knowledge on. I know who Pennywise is because of the old show that was trash that I'd never watched. But seeing the new iteration of it, I'm like, oh, this is lit. And then also like going down the Stephen King rabbit hole of like, oh shit, all his books are connected. What? And then like everything that comes out is just like something different and unique and stuff. And I didn't even know The Outsider was a book. I knew that Stephen King is behind it. I just didn't know that was a book until like just recently when I started watching the show and all that. So I'm like, all right, so this is lit. If this is the content that's being produced by him and all that, and it's
Right.
good, and whoever is producing it and adapting the screenplay to film is doing a great job in conveying the message, then it's kind of like I don't really have issues with that because like I'm always on the side of the creative. Like even if it might be at the detriment to some people's entertainment, like
Mhm.
you really like I'm one of those people in the audience that was like, oh, this is lit when Batfleck was clapping. Like I didn't mind that. I didn't care because Zach already set the tone with Superman and Man of Steel. So I'm like, this is
Yep.
an entirely different kind of thing. Like I don't mind it.
Right.
Same thing with even on the Marvel side. Like, okay, it wasn't a group of young mutants who caused a freaking public school to blow up while they were recording a reality TV show that basically spurred the events of Civil War. I'm
Mhm.
fine that didn't happen on film. I'm fine with that because the story that they applied to it dealt with the arc of the characters that were involved, and it all followed through. So like it really just like there's not really a right answer for this.
Right.
Except that as long as it's good, like, because that's
Yep.
still that's still
my,
really
yeah, that's the thing.
that still applies
Like,
here.
yeah, the books might have been good, but people just have to accept that might not be the only thing that's good
Exactly.
concerning this storyline. Like,
Right.
there are other ways to get from point A to point B.
Exactly.
Like-
Like for example, in Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm not again. I wasn't as cursed with knowledge. Like I knew who I was more or less familiar with Star-Lord and stuff
Mhm.
and Drax, but like Gamora and all them, like I didn't really know about all them and all that. But what James Gunn did with that is just like, okay, it's its own, like it has an identity to it and people can associate with that. And that's a good thing though, because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, like Guardians of the Galaxy is funky, it's in space, great soundtrack, like family oriented like film basically. Like it's about family. Like that's what both films are about and all
Right.
that. And the complications of family and like the dysfunction in it. Like
Yeah.
you associate that with that and it has its own identity in film and it kind of translates to comics too.
Mhm.
But then there are also some people who could be like, like Mark, like who like aren't with the whole like dance off to save the universe shit, which is fine too, because it's like that is ridiculous. And
Yeah,
I
yeah. It's not like me saying like, oh, it's not like the comics. It's like, no, I just think it's a fucking corny ass way to beat a villain.
exactly, yeah.
Like,
I mean, Ronan
yeah.
was
So
pussy anyway, so I don't care what they do with him. But
that's another. Oh, sorry. Let me.
But no, going back to Mark's point, because you just mentioned it, Ariel. Like, I remember when Guardians of the Galaxy was coming out, and I was like, yo, who the fuck are these
I was the
clowns? I'm
same
like,
way.
and then I watched the movie and I loved it. I was like, yo, like that shit was a lot of fun. That shit was a lot of fun to watch.
and it's fucking
But
funny. Like
but
shit
yeah, but
funny.
it goes back to Mark's point where, especially with a movie like, let's say, BVS, it's movies that people have already seen Superman, people have already seen Batman. So they already kind of know how their characters are. With Guardians, if and again, like Mark said, if you didn't know the Guardians, if you didn't read Guardians of the Galaxy comics and you're just going in to watch the movie, that's your first impression of these characters.
Yep.
So, but your first impression of Superman was, hopeful and this and although, your first impression of Batman is always, yeah, like he's dark and he's brutal, but he's not a murderer. Then that's why I could see why people. I think that's why BVS got so much heat the way it did. For this simple fact that we're talking about right now, but at the same time, I remember when Zach said, I'm basing it off of, Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. And I remember before the movie dropped, I was like, let me read that shit. And I'm like, what the?
That
I'm
shit
like,
was heat.
number one, heat. Number
Yeah.
two, Bruce was brutal as
Yep.
fuck.
He was old and he didn't give a fuck. Like that's
Right. I'm like, so in a way, it was very comic accurate.
Yeah, but again, people don't understand that because I remember also another thing that people were saying is, oh, and see, now this is where the lack of education on source material can come back to bite somebody in the ass
Mm-hmm.
because what a lot of people were saying about Ben Affleck is like, oh, his Batman's great. Bruce Wayne, I don't know. But the whole point, his Bruce Wayne isn't supposed to be a playboy.
Yeah.
Isn't supposed to be out there smiling and doing whatever, living
Yeah.
the party life. That's not what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Frank Miller's Bruce Wayne is fucking just like Batman, but just without the fucking cape and
Yep.
the suit.
100%.
Like
100%.
like
That's exactly who he
so
was.
that can definitely come back to bite people in the ass. And also, when it comes to the Guardians thing, I know like for me, I would like you, I was like, I never really heard of these people. This is like kind of before I was like I started actually educating myself on this kind of shit. But I was like, oh, like whatever, sure, like I'll check it out. I loved it, and obviously the only part I really didn't like was the end was the little was the oh,
Dance
sorry,
off?
I almost called it a fight. Dance off at the end of the movie. Like, but again, still a great movie overall. And I think well, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Star-Lord actually in the comics is not like that at all. Like, I think in the comics he's very serious. Like, which I remember reading that somewhere, but I could be wrong. But I think Star-Lord in the comics is like actually a pretty serious, or not pretty serious, but at least a lot more serious than Chris Pratt's impersonation. I'm not saying Chris Pratt's is bad or anything like that. I
Right.
loved it, but again,
But
this is how
it's a different
but this
iteration on the
is-
character.
right. It's a different iteration, but it's interesting because that kind of plays into the topic now. Because now when I think of Star-Lord, I think of him as the funny guy.
Right, of Chris Pratt. Yeah.
I don't think of him as this serious dude. I
Yeah.
remember reading this article, because after I watched the movie, I was like, wow, this shit is actually tight lit. Like, I want to learn more about these people.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see people getting mad about that, but I mean, I didn't really hear anything about it.
Right.
So
And another that brings me up. I want to talk about Thor Ragnarok. Now,
Mhm.
in the comics, I never read it, but people told me that it's a very dark,
right,
very
right.
dark iteration and a very dark storyline. And the movie was a comedy. Here's my thing: like, I didn't dislike Thor Ragnarok. I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
You just didn't like
But
the laughing part.
exactly. I just didn't like that I was laughing in it. But again, like Mark said, I don't think anyone bitched about it. I really don't think anyone bitched about it. And I mean, I don't know that many people. To be honest with you, I don't know that many people that read Marvel comics. I know a few people that read DC comics, so that's why I can kind of see where, and you know, not to be biased or anything, but generally, I think people read DC comics more than they read Marvel comics,
Yeah.
just because you know these characters have just been around for so long and they're just more appealing in a sense, you know. But either way, I didn't see anyone complain that you know Thor Ragnarok was a comedy. It obviously got great reviews, and you know Taika Waititi's going back to direct a sequel to Ragnarok, basically. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's just what I feel like. People pick and choose what they want to keep comic accurate and what they don't. Um, because here's my thing: if you're gonna complain about comic accuracy in Batman vs Superman, you should do the same for Ragnarok. Then, am I right or am I wrong?
That's
I'm
facts.
sorry. Can you say that one more
That's
time?
facts.
If people are gonna pick and choose what they should be upset about, it should be so if someone was upset for Batman v Superman not being comic accurate or like the characters not being comic accurate, shouldn't they be upset at Thor Ragnarok for not being comic accurate and Thor not being comic accurate in that?
Um, See, like I think again, like I was saying, it's a lot easier for people to take something and be like, you know what, like as I or are you saying the people who read Ragnarok and then went to go watch it, or are you saying
Yeah,
just the people?
let's say an avid comic book reader who reads,
Right.
you know, who read Frank Miller's, you know, Dark Knight Returns and then read Ragnarok, and they're like, "Oh, BVS did everything wrong," and Ragnarok, "Oh, that was a great movie." Like that's a little hypocritical, is it not?
That's
Yeah,
different though.
it
It's
is.
tough.
It
It's
is.
tough to compare that. I mean, like it's tough to compare it only in the sense for me. It's like BVS is such a layered movie. It's like, and I know we already have another podcast talking about all the layers and whatever, but like if you really think about it, Ragnarok and BVS, it's like you can't even get more. I don't think you can get more different. Like Ragnarok is really like it's like just a linear kind of thing, you know, funny, whatever. It's good. And then you have BVS, which is just layers of like societal problems and everything else, that are kind of built in there that people don't, expect out of a comic movie. Like BVS is like it's just like groundbreaking, I think, superhero movie.
Guys,
I,
this is our Batman vs Superman appraisal podcast.
I'm just
But
saying,
Part two.
I get it,
I'm
I get
like,
it.
because
Part two, yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
yeah.
like
I get
it's
it.
kind of hard to compare those. Like, if you're gonna compare it to like a movie like uh like compare Thor Ragnarok to like, I don't know, like a Civil War movie, like, yeah, I think that people should have, like, if they were going to be mad at anything about not being comic accurate like they always seem to be,
Right.
then nobody said boo when freaking
Boo.
with Civil War or anything else,
The
But
nerve, the nerve.
Ariel, tell Stephen A to bring us the commercial. Well, we back. Ariel, how was your piss?
What the hell, man?
Real
Put him on the
reason.
spot.
Real reason we went on break.
I mean, yo, we bro, y'all put up. You guys are
Put up numbers.
y'all put up. There's like 94 points between y'all two. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this would be a pretty dope topic to talk about just because we see it all the time. We've all been victims of it too. At least I have.
Victims.
Of judging things and being like, well, this wasn't really that comic accurate, but
Yeah.
But so it's not to say that we're talking about it and we're perfect. We're like, oh yeah, we don't
We've never done that.
right.
Right.
But I think certain people, you know, when I read comments sometimes, I'm like, wow, this human being is like actually dumb.
It happens
You know,
way too often.
right? Yeah. Where it's like, what are you even saying right now? But okay, but that's kind of my point. Yeah, I thought this would be a fun thing to discuss in terms of, you know, reading something first and then watching it and being like, oh, well, this was done differently in the book, and I like the way they did it in the book, but I don't like the way they did it on screen. And I want to know how it is vice versa too. What I'm gonna start doing is watching things because I'm more of a watcher. I'm more of a, you know, I like to visualize, and then maybe I'll like get back and read like books after I watch the series because I feel like I'll get more spoiled and more not spoiled, like I'll get more excited watching it than reading it anyway. So it's like I don't want to read it and then
You're saying
watch,
comic books?
just in general, like books in general. But like that's the thing with comic books is like
They have pictures.
not even, well, yeah, that too, which is, you know, I think a very good point because and then you envision these things, not envision them, but you actually see them on the books, and then to see them on the big screen, I can
Right.
see why people get upset at certain things.
Exactly.
I can't.
Why?
Nani?
I can't. Like I guess I'm the weird one because none of it, like, none. I don't care about any of it. Like how the interpretation plays out. Like it doesn't bother me at all. Like at all.
We're not saying we agree with it. But
No, no,
we're
no.
saying
Yeah, I know that. I guess some people, like, it is common to hear like that kind of complaint. That's what you mean, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and like, and we're saying, yeah, like, obviously, yeah, we don't agree, but like, we can understand why somebody who's read the book first, read the comic first, and then watched the movie and was like, oh man, like that was my favorite part, and they changed it. Like, it's kind of hard to come to grips with that right off jump, you know,
Yeah,
which I can understand.
Yeah.
yeah.
But that is, but that at the same time, and I get, like, you have to look at it from our side. You can't just say, "Oh, that wasn't what I was expecting," and now, like, and then label it as bad.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's a difference.
Exactly.
There's a big
yeah,
difference between different and bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what people don't understand.
Exactly. I think that sums it all up perfectly. It's just because they changed the iteration doesn't make it bad. It's just different. That's all it is. You know, and but again, I do think there needs to be a certain line where it's like, okay, we need to kind of keep this the same because that's what the story was in the book. So we can't really change that up. But there's certain scenes here and there we can change up, or certain characters we can add or delete that won't be, you know, crucial to the overall plot. So I know, Ariel, this probably doesn't really affect you as much, but for Mark, when you saw Doomsday, you know, in the trailer, were you like, oh shit, they're probably gonna kill off Superman?
Nah, that
was
affected me.
that was my first reaction because I know, you know, I had read the Death of Superman comic, and I'm like, ah shit, like he's about to get clapped.
Yeah, well, a lot of people when they saw Doomsday, they knew Superman was gonna die.
Right.
Nah, well,
What happened? Go ahead, Ariel.
Nah, that didn't bother me from a story perspective. That bothered me from a marketing perspective.
No, 100%. Yeah, no.
that
Well,
just,
the market, like you shouldn't have added that to the trailers,
that
but
was,
it's okay.
yeah,
It's fine. It's fine.
it's fine.
But no, yeah. But in terms of, right, the story itself, like even though I knew it was coming, you know, it didn't take away from the overall story for me. Like I knew it was coming, but the overall story arc as a whole was good. And I feel like if that's the thing, it's a lose-lose situation, because I feel like if Superman didn't die, like if they just beat Doomsday and they all lived, oh yeah, like we're all good, we're teammates now, and like let's go
And
on
the
to
city's
Justice League.
destroyed.
Yeah, no, well, it didn't take place in the city. It was
I
at
know,
a harbor.
yeah,
Oh,
it's an abandoned harbor. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Batman had to say that for the general audience to get that. Hey, we're not fighting in the city, y'all. Oh, look at that! He literally told Alfred. I'm not even gonna get into it. Okay.
No, because that was a big complaint in Man of Steel that, like,
Exactly,
yo, like
but
they
it's
had
just
literally
like-
had a Dragon Ball Z fight in
But
Metropolis.
That's the point of the story. That's what leads to Okay. So what I was gonna say with that is, if they didn't kill off Superman, people would have been like, "What? What the fuck? Like, he's supposed to die in the comics? Like, this is all fucked up. Like, blah blah blah." So either way, it was a lose-lose. And I'm not just saying just BVS in general, just like a bunch of like different, movies. We could say the same thing. But nonetheless, I think what Mark said pretty much sums it up. Just because it's different doesn't mean it's bad. But sometimes there are things that are different that truly just are bad.
Right.
Venom being one of them, in my opinion.
I do have high hopes for Venom too, though.
I do too.
Not high hopes, but like they're better hopes.
Better hopes, just because Andy Serkis is involved. If I'm being completely honest with you,
And Woody Harrelson, he's great.
No, Woody.
Yeah, but
Woody Harrelson is amazing.
I still think Tom Hardy did a great job, even though it was mainly just the script. I think that was the problem.
Yeah, that's what bothered me.
Can I ask y'all something?
What's up?
They just never explained how Venom came back, right? He just said goodbye to Eddie, and then the very next scene, he was just back there with him, right? That's what you guys remember too?
I think it's just like, like it's like regeneration kind of thing. Like, oh, there's a little speck of it left, so it regenerated.
But they're just not going to show that. They're just going to have us assume that.
I think they might go into it a little bit or touch on it somehow with in the next one, just because. I mean, like, I think, keep in mind, they have no idea what he has no idea what it is. Like, and to a certain extent, I feel like even the symbiote doesn't even know that much about like its own like abilities sometimes.
But so they weren't even going to have a scene to acknowledge. So Eddie knows for a fact that he's not gone. Like, oh, Eddie, like, I'm back. And he's like, how? And then Venom's like, I don't know, but we're here. They didn't even have.
Do you see how weird that dialogue was?
Obviously, I'm not the writer. But it
would just be hard. It's just hard to be like, hey, this happened. Why? I don't know. All right, here's the credits. Like
roll credits.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean?
But
like
I don't think what we got was.
I'm not saying it's that much better, but I think it's still slightly better than throwing in like some random description or just being like, oh yeah, like, we don't know how it happened, see ya. Like, I know what you're saying. I get the criticism.
Are they going rated R for this?
The first one was, right?
No.
Oh no, they made it PG-13 because they're pussy. I
hope they go. That'd be cool.
No, that would be cool. But if they don't, I mean, as a good look,
you can't though. If it's Carnage, you have to go rated R.
Yeah.
If they're really doing Carnage, I just don't see any other way. But hey, who knows?
Did you guys see the set photos of Woody Harrelson? Like, they finally got that bum ass wig off of him. The wig at the end of the movie was atrocious. That was horrible.
He looked like Annie.
I honestly think that was like a last minute thing. Like, I'm pretty sure that was like
they just put that on top of it. Says like, okay, shoot this real quick.
Like, maybe,
go.
Yeah, I think that at least conceptually they were like, we don't know what he was gonna look like, so let's give some fan service and just like put a wig on him or something, make him look like a Cletus. But yeah. What about the Batman? Is that gonna be rated R?
That's what we want to get into a little bit. There was just like a photo that just dropped that could be like
spoiler.
Yeah. Well, the way the photo looked, it just looks very like gruesome. It looks like it's going to be a gruesome movie, which I hope it is. I hope it's rated R. I really do hope it's rated R. They should just take the Joaquin Phoenix Joker route, be like, yo, make this bitch rated R. Make this motherfucker fuck people up. Like, I want to see blood. I want blood on me. That's how rated R I want this shit to be.
Yo, really? So you want to go see it in 5DX?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I want. I'm like, yo, I want him to fucking violate these motherfuckers. But I mean, even if it's not rated R, if it's PG-13, it's fine. It's still gonna be Batman. I still think people are gonna go watch it and make a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
but what's it called? Yeah, I think that's the most hyped up movie right now. But what I wanted to mention previously when we were still talking about like book adaptations and comic book adaptations, one that I think we need to dive into a little bit is Flashpoint. And because the director had said, I love how you had to specify, like, we're doing a version of Flashpoint. It's like, we're not doing the Flashpoint, because I feel like he knows that how the way the comic book community is. It's like if he says we're doing Flashpoint, they're like, "Oh, we want to see Reverse Flash. We want to see Wonder Woman take off
Yeah,
Kara's head."
they have
They
a wish list of stuff they want to see now.
Exactly. So that's another great point. A wish list. If you read a comic or you read a novel, and then it's a screen, it gets adapted into the screen, you have a wish list of what you want to see, which is understandable. Again, maybe not for you, Ariel, but you know, for the non-weirdos, yeah, we we see why it's understandable. But no, I think that's the thing though. With Flashpoint, I think he's gonna stay true to that's the thing with me. It's if you're gonna do Flashpoint, you obviously have to go back in time and change something. Not just because of the story arc, but just because Warner Brothers is in a shithole.
Yep.
Yeah. So either way, if they don't go back in time and do something, that's a disappointing movie already. But I am like 97.258% sure they are going back in time and changing.
97.258%.
Exactly.
Amazing.
It would be 100 if it wasn't Warner Brothers, but you know. But yeah, I think they absolutely need to follow at least that part of the comic book adaptation, going back in time. They need to keep the Flash, obviously. You can't have a Flashpoint movie without the Flash. But yeah, y'all. Again, no real news that broke out. Just pretty much just Venom 2 wrapping up, and there was just some set photos of them all having a good time. But that's about it. I think. Y'all have anything else y'all want to bring up, mention, discuss for a little bit?
No, I think that's like with Flashpoint. Yeah, we're probably gonna run into more of the same stuff we had. Oh, it's not comic accurate. This, that, and the other thing. And it's probably just a lot more like, even if it's good, it doesn't matter because people just love to hate, especially on DC. So
it's actually wild. Like nobody really followed like for the Birds of Prey box office for right now. That would like, I just want to bring this up briefly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like people are trying to see if it's gonna break even. Like you'll never see people doing that for a Marvel movie, like seeing it or wanting to buy. Like people want to see DC bomb, and I don't get it. If you're a comic book fan, I don't.
It's a fad. It's like the mob mentality. That's the new thing, bro.
Yeah.
Like social media makes it a trend to shit on it. Like even like, I mean, I'm gonna throw shots. So hold on, let me see. Gun load.
Get the gun loaded, bro.
Like for example, like IGN and shit, like writing in their like scripts to like basically like throw jabs and jokes at like DC stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's like corny, like to me at least, because it's kind of like you're just following along. Like unless like the journalist or reporter or whatever does their own iteration and like actually like has their own stand on whatever they're discussing. But like to me it's just corny. Like, and I'm not just singling IGN now. I'm just saying like they're part of it too. Like they're following along with it too, or any other, even Complex.
Yeah, for the most part, dude, it's just like clickbait. Like, oh, people are hating on DC. Like, let me click on this.
Yeah.
And even from us, like, I love DC. Like, I'm gonna click on those articles just to see what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then I read it, and I'm like, why did I read that? That was just a bunch of bullshit. But nah, like, we got New Mutants coming out soon. That's gonna be our next movie we're gonna talk about. But we're gonna drop. Guys, we're dropping once a week now. So
pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard.
Oh,
what's up?
But I have a sneaky suspicion that New Mutants is actually gonna be pretty good.
Ooh,
I don't know why.
enlighten me,
I have
sir.
I have no clue why. I just have, when you have that gut feeling that a movie or something's gonna surprise you. I
Yeah.
think that this movie is gonna surprise us.
I hope it does.
Saying it's amazing, not saying it's amazing, but I think it's gonna be a lot better than people think.
I hope it does.
Same.
Yeah,
but-
I hope it does because we've been waiting for it. I have aged, literally. I've aged since it's been announced. So it's
We all
like,
have.
Well, I mean, you could say that about any movie, but
no, I'm trying to like exaggerate. Like, it's been a while already, and like,
yeah,
hopefully
it
it's
has. It has
freaking-
been a while.
Like, I hope it's. I
It
just hope
should
it's good.
it should have came out 3 times by now.
Well, yeah. Wait,
man.
but there's something else. Wait. Oh, back to that Batman thing. So this is a set picture, right?
Yeah. Apparently, it's a picture.
Yeah, because like, like again, if you want to really modernize like his rogues gallery, the Joker is an anarchist, Bane is basically a social terrorist. At least from the iterations we've seen. The Riddler could be like Jigsaw, basically. Setting up traps and shit so people get clapped and
Yeah.
putting a stupid riddle in it.
Get the trash ass Jim Carrey taste out of my mouth of his Riddler.
Oh, hold on.
Whoa.
Relax.
Whoa, relax.
Yo, I
Bro,
heard he was great in Sonic.
Oh, he played
Yeah.
he is the Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah. No, what I wanted to say, just so you guys know, I don't consider Batman Forever or Batman and Robin. Those are fan made films as well, along with Justice League.
Damn.
Okay, well, yeah, whatever the fuck those were. Matt Schumacher could go fuck himself.
Yo, it's Joe Schumacher, but yeah. Yo,
you
my God, that shit was trash.
Oh my god, Matt Schumacher's the F1 driver. Never mind. I love no, that's Michael Schumacher. Oh my god, so many
Damn,
Schumachers. in the
shout
world.
out to JB being the only dude watching Formula One racing.
Yo, shout out to Formula 1, bro. Was it Joel Schumacher?
Yeah, it's Joe. Yeah, Joe
Oh.
Schumacher, John,
Oh.
whatever. I know start with a J.
Oh, hold on. Oh, he's still alive. Okay, yeah, he go fuck himself. Oh man. No, he from New York. Never mind. He good. He good.
No, that shit was trash, dude.
That
I was
shit
like 8 years
trash.
old, and I'm like, yo, this is garbage. Get me out
Nah,
of here.
yo, when I was 8, I was like, yo, this shit lit.
Nah.
But then I watched it like 2 years after that. And I'm like, wow, this is garbage.
It's
When I was
really
10, I was
bad.
like,
Like, come on, Batman had nipples, my guy, on his suit.
yeah, no.
Come on, fam.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about that.
And he had a back credit card. Come on, man.
Yo, nah, that's not what I wanted to talk about. The last thing, what was it? Fuck. I got sidetracked because of that now. Oh, nah, that's what I was gonna say. Do y'all want to see another iteration of the Joker? I feel like I'm good for right now.
Yes.
As much, right? You're good? Like you're
No,
chilling?
no.
Yeah.
Keep them coming. I don't care.
Really?
Yeah, because
I'm good, dude. Like I feel like Batman has such a big and expansive rogues gallery that for the next couple of years we don't really need to see a Joker. We already had a Joker in the Tim Burton movies. We had the most iconic Joker in The Dark Knight, and then a very, very close, neck and neck with Joaquin, who had his own solo film, and we had Jared Leto's Jokers. I mean, obviously he needed more screen time, but I just feel like right now, explore other characters like what they're doing in this first
Yeah,
movie. Like,
I
give
agree.
me. I was so hyped. Like Penguin, let's get it. Like I've been dying to see Penguin on the big screen again.
yeah, but
That's why I said, get that fucking corny ass Jim Carrey version out of here. Like let's get a new one.
yeah,
Paul
but
Dano,
the
say what's up.
reason I said what I said is because regardless of how we feel, it doesn't matter. Like it's not up to us anymore. Like
No, you're
Yeah,
right.
but we can still
And-
state our
and-
opinions.
no,
And-
yeah, that. But like it's like
We have thoughts, Ariel.
We have thoughts.
I'm not trying to be a nihilist or anything. I'm just saying like we have good intentions with what we want to see.
Right.
We want to see other characters, other great characters who could translate really well to film and to
Right.
audiences. But studio's gonna always go with what
Studio's gonna
makes
studio.
bread. Yeah, exactly. So I'm like it's almost like a given that that they're gonna come out with a new Joker like within the next 5 years.
And it's a money grabber.
Yeah, exactly.
People are
So
gonna go watch a movie with a Joker in it.
hmm
But and like that was the same thing. I think that's why I had brought up Venom earlier, but then we got sidetracked and started talking about how trash it was. Even though it wasn't really any. Obviously, there was some comic book accuracy to it, but I personally don't really read Venom comic books, so I don't know. But from what I heard, it wasn't really comic accurate. But people still went to go see it because, well, A, Tom Hardy, and B, it's Venom. Venom's a very iconic character. So like the same thing with the Joker. Joker's so iconic, people are gonna go watch it. But yeah, yo. Last thing I want to bring up, Clone Wars, the last season is now out on Disney Plus. Well, at least the first episode, they're dropping weekly, which is smart, because there's absolutely nothing to watch on there.
wow.
No, like I'm talking about new things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, of course. Yeah. If you want to go rewatch, the old Disney shows or rewatch, any of the Marvel movies or Star Wars movies, they're up there. But I'm saying like in terms of something new to, every week kind of thing. But I'm actually gonna start it tonight. I'm actually after we get off, I'm gonna start the season 1. I'm in a Star Wars kind of mood. So
It's 11 p.m. Oh my god.
What time is it in Boston?
Still 11 p.m.
where he doesn't. You name the place where he doesn't even live. But I'm
gonna start naming the municipalities in Boston after I run out of Jersey, just for you.
There you go. He goes, yo guys, same thing. Please give us podcast topics you want us to talk about. We're dropping weekly, either on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. It seems like that's gonna be our days to drop. Hope you guys tune in again.
Please.
Please tune in.
I want to quit my job. No,
but nah, guys, like we absolutely love talking about these kinds of things. We want to try to improve each and every cast. We're gonna try and get bigger and get better, and so yeah, feed us ideas. But that's it on my end.
Yeah, that's it, yo. Stay tuned for our hopeful video game podcast coming soon.
Oh my god. Good night.